much.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. Just checking. Now you may have me on two screens, and if that's the case, then if you go to gallery view, it'll show all the participants, but it's totally up to you. Because I use a mic and there should be two Stephen M's on the screen. So, okay, so let's start off with the front edge of the mat, starting with a standing forward fold. Again, adjust for your back. If your back feels tight, you can always rest your elbows on your knees, right? It takes the pressure off your lower back, like so. So if I'm here, this is going to allow me to rest. If I can stretch, I can hang down. So if I do this, there shouldn't be any pain in your back at all. If you're hanging down, the weight of your body should be able to typically start to stretch your lower back. But again, sometimes in the morning, for those of you, if you're, I'm assuming everyone's local, it's still morning time, so your body is going to take a little bit of time to kind of warm into this. I don't really want you to stretch to warm up. I want you to warm up and then stretch. So that's why we're just kind of settling in. And the reason I like this particular pose is it allows you to check in with your body more than anything. Right? It's allowing you to just kind of see where your body's at. If you can start to push harder later on, then you just start to push harder later on. Okay, so on the exhale, release your hands down. And again, just kind of checking in with your body. You can put your hands on your ankles or touch the ground. And then we're going to slowly just raise the left arm up. I'm going to bend the right knee. Good, and then slowly on the exhale, simply switch sides. So you're just going to raise that right arm up. And again, just feeling your body. I'm not looking up. I know the tendency is wherever your arm is, you're going to may have the tendency to look up. But instead of looking up, look down. It's just easier on your neck, especially in the beginning. Good, and then taking a deep, full breath in on the next exhale. Bring both hands down. Good, and then slowly, vertebra by vertebra, all the way up to standing. And once standing, reach to the sky. And just take a moment to set a personal intent. So I just want you to think about what brings you to your practice today, specifically. So if I'm talking about, let's say, one of the 5 elements that I like to teach, strength, flexibility, balance, focus, or presence of mind, and maybe you're here for something totally different. Maybe you're working on chasing your life dream or something that I just don't mention. I just want you to get that intention clear and strong as we begin the practice today. So what brings you here, and what do you want to be receptive to as we start? And then anchor that intent. So let's say it's something simple. I want to cultivate equanimity amidst change. Just put your hands over your heart center. So we're anchoring the intention to the heart. Okay, so we're making it specific. So the class isn't just random, but we're making it a specific focus in relationship to our lives. So breathing that in and anchoring it to the heart center relates to anchoring it to the heart, which is the center of love and courage and compassion and so on. So we add some of the kind of emotional element behind the practice as well. And then taking a deep, full breath as if you're breathing in that intention. So one visualization for that could be to see yourself in that space. Like maybe your intention is to increase your athletic performance so you could ski down the slopes at Mammoth. So you would see yourself in that space, right? Now that's just an example, but I want you to also add some visual, right? As human beings, our most dominant sense, for the most part, is our visual sense. So I like to use some visualization for this. Right? If it's something else, I want to be able to climb the Himalayas. You would see yourself doing that. So what does it look like? Make it in color, make it in focus, right? Bring it in so that you're in the space. Good, and then taking another deep, full breath, and on the next exhale, release your hands all the way down. Again, we're just going to touch the ground. Inhale, look up, extend the spine. Exhale, forward fold. I'm not going to jump back just yet. And I'm going to inhale, roll all the way up to standing and reach to the sky. Stretch up, stretch back. And exhale, hands to the heart center. Good. Inhale, arms up. And exhale to the side. So we're just going to do some side stretches. And my right hand sliding down, my left arm up. And my left palm faces down. So I'm just going to look over my right shoulder. So I'm actually looking down. It's easier on the neck. And then inhale back through center and exhale over to the other side. Again, it's sad that we don't have, let's say, I know right now it's somewhere around like 10% of the population even tries yoga. I wish it was more because this is such a beneficial thing to do. It's just so many different reasons, even if it is just purely physical, which for many people it's not purely physical, but even just for that, inhale back to center, reaching up, and again, we're going to lengthen up and just arch slightly back, and then exhale, forward fold. And again, we're going to stretch all the way down. I'm going to touch the ground. This time I'm going to try and get my fingers on the ground, a little deeper stretch. Good, and then inhale, look up and lengthen. And exhale, walk or jump it back and lower down. So we're going to do like a lower push-up, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog pose. Pull and lengthen up. And then we're going to exhale, and we're going to press back to downward facing dog pose. So again, if you want to take a look at the screen, I'm going to pull and lengthen into upward dog. So I'm actually lengthening my spine by pulling. I'm keeping my abs very slightly engaged. And then to press back, I'm going to just push it back, line up the feet parallel. Right? Notice if your body tracks to one side. Line up parallel and then press back. And again, I'm just going to line up so that we have it. So center lines of the feet are about hip width distance apart. You're going to open your hands wide apart, press down through all 10 knuckles. You're going to inhale, push back. And exhale, walk or jump up to the front edge of your mat. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Inhale all the way up, reach to the sky. Stretching up and back. And exhale, hands to the heart center. Good. Inhale, squat and reach. So we're just going to go into fierce pose and feel your legs. Feel your body grounded and rooted in the present. So when we do these practices, again, one of the stronger points of focus chronologically is in the present. Right? It's a tradition of yoga. And we're going to feel the legs. So feeling your body grounded, right? Feel your physical sensation. And then on the next exhale, we're going to straighten up and let's go tips of the toes. We're going to lengthen all the way up. Try and keep your balance. Keep a fixed focus point out in front. If you lose your balance for a second, you can just try bending at your ankles and coming back up. Good. And then on the next exhale, heels down and forward fold, touching the ground. Inhale, look up and lengthen. And exhale, walk or jump it back. And lower down, slow chaturanga. All the breath comes out as you lower. Inhale, pull and lengthen up. And exhale, push back to downward facing dog pose. Again, line up your feet, press the heels. Again, the main focus. I know that a lot of people try to think about like, what are my elbows doing? What's my neck doing? The main focus in down dog is it stretches your calf muscles. Okay, so let's start with the fundamental. Then we work to, if you want to, go to the hands, line up your hands to the center line of your index fingers parallel to the side edge of the mat. A lot of people think it's the middle finger. It's not. Stronger part of your hand is the forehand from the thumb, index finger, and middle finger. So it makes sense that your hand slightly turns out, if anything. Right? So the index finger is parallel to the side edge of the mat, equal distance from the edges of the mat. Then wrap the shoulders. That is an important alignment. Creating space between your shoulder blades from your back. Okay, so from your spine to your shoulders, widen out. The reason is because people tend to pinch in towards the spine. There's a lot of nerves in the spine. We don't want to do that. We want to wrap those shoulders outward. So almost like you're wrapping your lateral muscles around the front of your chest, although you can't do that, but in that direction. And then you start to push your hips back. You squeeze your belly in, and you push your hips up towards the seam of the ceiling. you'll get an increased amount of stretch. Right? And notice that all of those come later on. Those are after you get your base stretch, which is your calves feeling those heels pushing down. Inhale, push back. Exhale, walk or jump up to the front edge of your mat. Inhale, look up. Exhale, fold in. Good. Inhale all the way up, reach to the sky. Stretch up, stretch back. And exhale, hands to the heart center. Good. Inhale, squat deep and reach high, fierce pose. Let's start to pulse a little bit. So now I'm going to work some alignment. I'm going to look at so in this one, if you look at your knees and you notice your knees are tracking to one side, one of the good things about having the screen right in front of you is you can see, if you have all 5 up, you can see your alignment. You can see, like for me, my knees like to push to one side. They always push to my left, probably your right. So what happens is over time, those joints will start to wear. Believe it or not, the joints don't heal in the same time frame as muscles do. So if you always run heavy on your right side, that joint over time is going to start to wear heavy. Your body starts to develop these patterns. So in yoga, one of the elements of youthing capacity is also cultivating balance in your physical body, right? You look at people when they get older, they're often hunched to one side, and that's because of years and years favoring one side, right? Most of the time pre-200 years ago, most people lived to be around 30 or 40 years old. We now live twice that and extending longer and longer. But the joints are still the same joints. So we want to make sure to prep that over time. Inhale, straighten up. And then let's do a simple standing back bend. You'll notice this is really the first, although upward dog is a back bend, this is our first standing real back bend of the day. I'm putting the hands on the glutes. I'm just leaning back, lifting the chest up, pushing the belly up towards the ceiling, and slightly bending back. Again, there's no reason to push these hard, right? We're just in the warming up phase at this time. So if you find yourself desiring that, you got to always push it super hard, that makes sense in other practices, not in stretching, right? And especially not at this time. Okay, inhale, reach up and back, arms to the sky, and exhale, forward fold, fingertips on the ground. Inhale, look up and lengthen, and exhale, jump it back down slow, chaturanga. Use your upper body strength on the way down. Inhale, pull and lengthen up, and exhale, press it back to down dog. Pressing the heels, extend the arms, try to really open your hands wide apart, pressing down through all 10 knuckles. And again, inhale. Now we're going to start to go and press through these alignments again. We're going to push those hips back and press the heels down. We're going to squeeze the belly in. I'm going to wrap the shoulders, so creating space. And as I look at the screen, it looks good. You guys are wrapping. That's good. The hands are wide apart. The eyes are focused at one point. So the other one, which is not an alignment, but it's a mental alignment, if you will, is focus. So focus at one point. If you can't find a speck on the ground between your yoga mat, look at your right big toe. And yes, you can alternate that. If you want to keep that in balance, the next down dog, you look at your left big toe. It's not, the alignment is so, if your head turns, it's very, very small amount. All right, inhale, push back. Exhale, walk or jump up front edge of the mat. Inhale, look up. Exhale, fold in. Inhale all the way up. Reach to the sky. And then exhale, let's go into our first half lotus. So we're going to raise the left leg up, and we're going to put the left leg on top. Okay, so we're going left leg on top, and then we're going to go right arm on top. And many of you have seen this pose before. This is a classic. It's often done in Garudasana, but my right arm is on top of my left. Yeah, like that. Okay, so I have my left leg on top and my right arm on top. It doesn't really matter too much. I just want you to feel the stretch here on the front of your shoulder. Good, and then we're going to come out and we're going to switch sides. So we're going to do the same thing. Okay, now again, go slow, go easy, pick a fixed focus point. If you fall out, it's because we don't really train in balance. There are very few exercises like yoga, right? Most people train by running or cycling or whatever, and there's very little static balance. Even in dance, believe it or not, there's not a ton of static held balances. That's why if you're having difficulty, that's probably why. Okay, and then from here, we're going to come back out, star, and back in. Reach up, stretch up and back. And exhale, forward fold, touching the ground. Inhale. Now we're going to look up and just take a look at the screen. I'm going to stand on my hands, pushing down with my toes. Okay, the first pose, I'm going to look forward. So I'm just going to stretch on the top of the wrist, standing on the hands, Padahastasana. Take a moment here if you're struggling with a specific challenge, whatever it may be. Eating, for me lately, it's been spicy foods, which I've had to cut back on as I've gotten a bit older. I can't eat as many of the spicy foods as I used to. So just for today, I'm going to make a commitment to myself to not eat spicy food. And you can think about what it is for you. It might be some other thing you don't want to do. I don't want to smoke or whatever it is. Renew that commitment as you stand on your hands. Why? Because your hands are the things that pick up those items, whatever it is. One thing for sure, you can crave whatever it is all day long. I'm not going to say whatever it is. But unless you physically pick up that thing and put it in your mouth or whatever, nothing happens, right? It's craving and then there's action. They're linked, but they're still far apart. All right, now you're going to pull down. Same thing, you're just going to stretch down. Your hands stay under your feet. But you just bend your elbows and pull down and look through your legs. So this is a standing. Now, this is technically our first deep stretch of the day, in my opinion. This is the first real standing forward fold, and we're already way past 15 minutes. We're about 17, 18 minutes in. So you're going to pull down. And I want you to think of that commitment and why it's important. For me, today, it's actually, I'm doing two different ones. One is commitment to not eating spicy food. The other one is to not going heavy on the sweets, because that's also, and I'm sure many of you have experienced this, when you quit one thing that you normally do, is often expressed by overdoing the other thing. So let's think of that for a second. It's, you're going to train your left hand. Well, then all of a sudden you got an imbalance in your right side and vice versa. So I want you to think of what is the opposite of the challenge. If you're not going to eat a bunch of spicy foods, you're also going to try and stay in the middle when it comes to super sweets today, right? So what is it for you? And then on the exhale, releasing the class. We're going to roll all the way up to standing. And again, these simple stretches, I know so far I haven't done any real crazy, intricate stretches, but these very basic ones, these are the ones that I still do in my personal practice after many, many years. Although it is fun to do some crazy, extended one leg balances and stuff, it's the fundamentals that are important. On the exhale, forward fold. Again, inhale, look up, extend the spine. So I'm just going to extend out, and exhale, walk or jump it back and lower down, chaturanga. So I'm just stepping back, inhale, upward dog pose, pull and lengthen up, shoulders draw back and down. And then exhale, downward facing dog pose. Press the heels, extend the arms, splay the fingers. Good. Inhale, push back, and we're going to exhale. Now this time I'm just going to roll to the right. Now for beginning, I would just drop the knee down, and I would come up like so. If you feel strong and you can do your side plank without the knee on the ground, do that by all means. I usually will display the beginning poses, although it looks like today I don't have to, so this is the full extended version. And then exhale, reach to the front and lower all the way down, chaturanga. Now I'm going to do a double push-up in between, so I like working my upper body. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, down dog. Inhale, roll to your left, bring your right hand to the sky. Now in this particular pose, you want to make sure to drive your left shoulder down, right? Create space between your shoulder blades so that when you do this pose, there isn't any compression towards the spine from your shoulder blade pinching in. Push it down, away from the spine. And exhale, reach to the front, lowering down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Remember, there's no shame in doing cobras. You can stay low. Exhale, downward facing dog pose, right? If you haven't done a ton of yoga recently and suddenly chaturanga seems harder, there's a reason for that, okay? So your body is adapted to not doing the work. Inhale, right leg reaches up and back. And exhale, right leg lunges through. Inhale, come all the way up, reach to the sky. Good. And exhale, open up to warrior two. Now, this is our first warrior pose of the day, so let's line up right heel to left heel. So if you drew a straight line through from the front perspective, you would line up heel to heel, right? So you would go, if you could see, the alignment from a standing perspective is heel to heel, like so, and then you're just stepping forward on that line. Good, like so. And now on the next exhale, right hand down, left hand to the sky. So it's going to side angle pose. So you can put your hand on the ground tomorrow if you can. If not, then just find your edge. Again, creating space, left to right shoulder. Allow the legs to stretch a little bit. Breath is fluid, long, and deep. Creating length and space. Good, and last 3, 2, 1. Exhale, reach to the front and lower down slow, chaturanga. All the breath comes out as you lower down. Again, use some resistance to gravity. Inhale, upward facing dog pose. And exhale, downward facing dog pose. Good. And inhale and exhale, left leg lunges forward. Now we're going to build on this series to warrior 1 to warrior 2. So I'm going to check these lines here again. Left heel to right heel, ground that back foot. Extend through the arms, draw those shoulders down away from the neck. And then we're going to bend in and then slowly, slowly, as I exhale, I'm going to go in a little deeper. Right, so once you're nice and warm, you go a little bit farther in the pose. And on the exhale, left hand down, right hand to the sky. Create length and space. Again, expanding out from the heart center. I try to keep my class focused around the heart chakra, so the heart center relates to love, courage, and compassion. I want you to, in this pose, expand out and realign the intention you set at the beginning of the class, right? Whatever that may be. Breath is fluid, long and deep for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, reach to the front and lower down slow. Again, use some resistance on the way down. This just means don't collapse if you can. Inhale, upward dog pose. And exhale, downward facing dog pose. Good. Inhale, push back, and exhale, walk or jump, front edge of the mat. Inhale, look up. Exhale, fold in. Good. Inhale all the way up, reach to the sky, stretch up, stretch back. Good. So reach to the sky again, reaching up, arch back a little, and exhale, hands at the heart center. Good. Inhale, squat deep and reach high fierce pose. Again, I'm going to pulse the legs. I'm going to work some strength into the legs. Again, let the legs burn a little bit. We're not going to be here that long. I know that this is probably our most leg intensive sequence of the day. And we're going to go into some Kata as well. So I want to work legs. I'll usually use the legs mainly to burn calories because they're the ones, those are the muscle sets that are capable of burning the most calories. So I want you to just feel your legs burn a little bit. It's okay. Don't think like, oh, my legs are hurting. It's not good. It's actually okay. The muscles in your legs, your quads, maybe in your hamstrings are going to start to burn a little. Okay, I'm watching the clock as well. And this one is going to allow us to do the physical activities like skiing and snowboarding perhaps during the summer or during the winter. But as we move from one season to the other, usually it's these leg intensive practices that help train us so that when we hit the slopes, we're ready to go. And last 3, 2, and 1. Now this one I'm just going to straighten up and I'm going to pivot out. So now if you're on your mat, however you can so you can face the screen, I'm going to just turn the legs out. I'm going to start pushing the hands together. Squeeze the abdominal muscles slightly in. Breath is fluid, long and deep. And then we're going to pulse the legs. I'm going to bring the arms out, palms facing up. Now I'm putting a slight band in the elbows, engaging the biceps a little bit too. So I don't know if you can see it, but the bicep muscle is engaged. Okay, so as your arm comes down, it's going to actually give that bicep a little bit of work. Okay, that's what we want. We want to get some work. I actually have taught yoga with weights in the past. You don't really need it unless you're trying to build some mass in the muscle, but because your body does, you're pushing against weight when you're pushing your body weight against gravity. However, a little bend in the elbow and engaging the muscle is also going to, it's not going to build mass. As you can see, I've been doing yoga most of my life and I don't have giant muscle, right? It doesn't build that. It just builds more like a dancer's build, natural build. And inhale, straighten up. Let's go ahead and reach to the sky. And then we're going to exhale. I just call this scooping the ground. So I'm just going to scoop and lift. And I'm going to scoop, exhale, and inhale. People ask, well, why do we do this? Well, we do this one because it feels good, right? There's nothing better than feeling good in my book. Scoop, and one more time, scoop, and inhale up. And exhale, hands at the heart center. Good. Now we're going to do a bear grip. So bear grip is here. Technically, actually, there's two different ways. Let's clasp the hands together since we're doing yoga. Bear grip like this. And we're going to push the arms together and pulse. And again, now this is for bone density. You know, when your body pushes against itself at angles like this, the bones actually register the information. It'll trigger hormones in your body. Testosterone. Both men and women have both testosterone and estrogen. It will trigger most likely some testosterone, which will help boost some of your bone density. That's why when people do a lot of yoga or work in the fields, there's a show called, I think it's called The Blue Zones, and it's all about aging and how, you know, people. One of the things that is for sure is the people that age really well and stay strong in their older age tended to do some kind of work. Some kind of field work or whatever. One of the healthiest ones was a woman in South America. She's outside every day digging in the garden, for instance. Okay, and inhale straight. And now we're going to exhale. We're going to clasp the other hand. Now, at first, you probably put your right index finger under your left. That's your right hand clasping your left. If you switch it, this is your left hand clasping your right. Okay, so we're going to just switch and pulse. Okay, now again, I'm pushing my arms kind of out in front, bending the elbows a little like this, kind of like a bear, like as if you're hugging a bear grip, right? And you're gonna just push and pull with the arm, right? So you're gonna engage, right? And I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but the bicep muscles are the ones that I want to activate because the legs are a given. You don't worry about your legs. If you do yoga, yoga's legs. If you do power yoga, right? Yes, there are some gentle yin classes. That's another story. We all know yin classes are yin. They're not designed to keep your body in physical fitness level shape. They're just yin classes. They're designed to relax you, which I've taught those too. I'm not against them. I tend to prefer more physical. Inhale, star. And exhale, scoop. So I'm just kind of waving the arms out and again, scoop, left hand in front. Inhale up. And exhale, scoop. And inhale up. And one more time, scoop. Good. That looks good, you guys. Now inhale up, and we're going to exhale, hands in prayer position. Bend the knees. Turn both feet out, and again, pulse. So we're working the legs, and I'm pushing the hands together. So prayer position is also, remember that when we do yoga, we're kind of dedicating some time to cultivating balance, cultivating mental equanimity. So the hours and hours you spend here cultivating equanimity, they add up over time. They create what are called samskaras, which we don't have an English word, but it's like ingrained skill pattern, sort of. I wish we had a word, but I guess you could call it skill developed over time, in a way, right? In a way, samskara, an ingrained mental pattern. And inhale again. Let's go star, and then we're going to scoop again. Let's just do it 2 times because I want to move to another sequence. Let's scoop again, and then we're going to come up. Now from here, arms out. Feet out, so you're back in Kata, but now we're just going to go elbow on the knee, or if you feel flexible today, you're going to bend and put the hand on the ground, okay, a little bit harder, Okay, so you're going to go in. Now, if you feel it binding in the hip, turn your leg and adjust your leg a little in or out, your foot in and out, so you don't feel binding in the joint, right? Binding in the joint's not good. We're training, we think like when the muscle's working, that's always good. But that's not binding in a joint where you feel like the joint capsule and the cartilage is pinching. That's not good. We don't want that. We want to adjust out of that. Even at the cost of maybe losing some flexibility, believe it or not. Because over time, that wears on the joint. That's not good. Okay? And now we're just going to come back up. Now to come up, I recommend bring your left arm in front of your body, down, and then up. Okay? So it gets you used to using circular motion. And we're going to bend the elbows again. And we're going to pulse the legs again. Now again, I know some people have resistance to doing Kata. This is, Kata is kind of like eating spinach, and it's not the sweetest leaf in the world, but it's good for us. These are really, really beneficial. If we could work Kata in every sequence, every single day or every other day, we'd have very, very strong bodies. Right? Because Kata it covers a lot of different areas and will stretch too. Okay, last 3, 2, 1. And then we're just going to go left arm down. Now again, I'm going to teach the beginning one is elbow on the knee or left hand down on the ground. Right? So that makes you work the muscle a little bit more. And you can keep working that strength in your quad. Breath is fluid. And you might find as we hold it longer, you're not able to hold it, you have to come back up onto the knee. That's fine. Lydia, if you need to, or Nora, if you need to put your elbow on your knee, then you put your elbow on your knee. See if you can bend your left knee a little deeper. Yeah, just getting that edge a little bit. And then to come out, you're just going to do the same thing. Swing your right arm down in front of your body and back up into standing and reach to the sky. All right, so you get that circular motion. Again, I'm going to reach up and exhale, hands at the heart center. If you need to take a sip of water, now would be a good time. Okay, so we're going to come back in. Let's just take a little pause. I can see some of you guys are feeling these. Let's take a little pause, and we'll come back and work the calves. And maybe we'll work a little more balance, and then abs, and that's most of the hard part of the class is going to be over. All right, so let's continue on. So we're going to go. Let's go from here. So let's go back into Kata and back into hands of prayer position. Push the hands towards each other. You're going to raise your right heel up. So it's just the same sequence, but you're just heel off the ground. So right heel up and pulse. Okay, so this gets your calf muscle. And again, the lower leg, these are muscles we use every day. People always, at least in like the mid 2000s, people talked a lot about training and making sure that you have functional fitness. So if you needed to get out of a car or whatever, you could do it. Yoga is functional fitness. It's always work the main muscle categories of your body. So when you're training, you're going to work the calf. Okay, now let's go ahead and finish up and switch sides. So both heels down. Take a little pause. And then left leg up. And we're going to work it again. Now, if you start to feel the muscle cramping, what that means is, the muscle is getting kind of overloaded in the calf. It'll lock up. It'll just take a break, give it a little massage, come back to the sequence, right? I know some of you, maybe you've been doing a lot of steady yoga, maybe you've been running, maybe you haven't. I don't know. So I'm just taking into account all the various factors. And as we're training, let's keep going. Let's do last 30 seconds. Letting it burn a little bit. It's okay. I have my timer on. 20 seconds to go beginning now. So you're working that strength. And 10 seconds to go. Pulsing the leg. Again, working that focus. Again, keeping it working. Breathe, everyone. And last 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, straighten up. And exhale, pigeon toe the feet in and forward fold. Let's grab the ankles and pull down. So we're going to bend at the elbows, grip with your hands, and pull with the arms. Okay, so when you're pulling in, you're also working some of that strength, right? The biceps pulling in puts pressure sideways on the radius and the ulna, which are the two bones in your forearms. That's good for the bone density, right? So when you pull, you don't necessarily have to lift weights. You just need to put pressure against your body, right? Whether you're lifting a weight with 20 pounds or you're pulling against your ankles with 20 pounds of force, it's 20 pounds of force. Okay, your body will register it. And that's important especially as we progress through time, although it's always important because studies show that even at age 30, your body already can start losing, even younger, believe it or not, but your body starts losing its density, some of its bone and muscle density. My belief is after 25, because it's just what I've seen. People that stop exercising, even in their 20s, they go through college, they're in excellent shape, they come out, they start working in an office, they stop exercising altogether, and they may be somewhat thin, but they lose the muscle and bone density. Okay, inhale, coming all the way up, reach to the sky. And exhale, let's pivot in, pivot out, facing the front wall. And let's spring up to balancing. And again, if you lose your balance for a second, that's fine, like I just did a little bit. It's okay, just come back to the sequence. Right, you just adjust your foot and gain your balance. Concentrate at one point. And I've been focusing a little bit on hands of prayer position today just to really bring home. It's all about balance, right? For me, usually my greatest challenges haven't been so much dealing with people out on the street or whatever, although there have been some of those, especially when I was traveling through New York. But I want you to remember, it's often the people that are in your lives on a daily basis. Those are usually your greatest challenges. On the exhale, I'm going to bend the right knee and step it back. Inhale, reach up high, and let's go into triangle. So we're just going to go right into, so open up sideways, line up heel to heel, right hand down, left hand to the sky. Trikonasana. Look down, try and roll your left shoulder back, you guys. Try to create space, left hip to left underarm. Tamar, like bring your arm more forward. Like more towards your bed, and then create space between your shoulders. Creating length and space. You want to think of rolling your torso back, not hinging at the shoulder itself. So it's not pinching in the shoulder joint. You're not stretching the deltoid. You're rotating that's it. You're rotating your torso. And then on the exhale, let's go ahead and reach the left arm over to the front. So over the front of your mat, extended triangle pose. And we're going to just extend for 5, 4, 3, 2, and forward fold. 1, both hands down and forward fold to your right leg. So you're just stretching through those hamstrings. Again, you can pull the floor too. I found like the tighter I get, the more I need to pull the floor. At this point, you're pretty warm. Your muscles are warm enough to stretch. So you can rotate your hands back and pull the floor instead of push. And sometimes you get better traction against the ground as you pull and breathe. Good. And then we're just going to inhale, rock forward, bend the right leg, exhale, step back to downward facing dog pose. Now we're going to transition to the left side. So you're just going to go same thing here, left leg back, and we're going to go through left warrior 1, left foot forward, and we're going to spring up from prayer position to balance. And it helps for me not to go right into a lateral, to keep a little vertical and then slowly hinge the torso down into the balance position, right? So if you try to get it all at once, there's a saying in the Tao Te Ching, if you try to cut wood like a master carpenter, you will only hurt your hand. What that means is be a beginner a little bit, right? If you haven't trained in a while, you're beginning again. So don't expect to just, master these poses all right away. They take some time. Even these poses, basic poses, you can actually lose some of these poses if you don't train with them on a regular basis. Okay, on the exhale, let's go ahead and step it back. We're going to go right back to warrior 1, and then open up sideways to triangle. Left leg is in front, left leg is straight, left hand down, right hand to the sky. Now, I do tend to do this one with my hand on my ankle. I have not seen a great advantage to putting my hand on the ground, to be honest. I can't say I've lost extreme flexibility from doing that. And another thing that I like about putting on the ankle is it makes me balance more because I'm only on my feet, right? The only thing touching the ground are my feet on the ground. So this allows me to work balance and focus more so than if I had my hand on the ground. On the exhale, reach the arm overhead to the front. So we did extended triangle. I know some of you came out of it, but this is a separate pose. Extended triangle is a lateral muscle stretch. Okay, I know it can be a challenging little sequence triangle, even though it doesn't look like much. I know when people see this, they probably think we're all just relaxing when we're doing these poses, but they're all kind of challenging. On the exhale, forward fold. So both hands down and just stretch those hamstrings. Get all square the hips, so you kind of pull your right hip forward, left hip back. And then again, facial expression is calm. And I want you to link this practice to your greatest challenges. Like for me, for many years, it was I admit it, she's no longer with us, but it was my mother-in-law for many, many years. And I did, towards the end of her life, as we progressed, I was able to get to the point where no matter what she did, she just could not get under my skin. Even she would get mad because I would remain equanimous through our interactions, and she would say it was passive aggressive or whatever it was, and it wasn't. I was just calm, right? So when you're training in this, cultivating equanimity, you're going to find you're going to tap into this on a regular basis while driving, while dealing with some other challenge, maybe a challenging kid if you have kids, or a challenging client, so on and so forth, or a challenging coworker, or wherever it may be, right? Their job is, if you will, to practice, to make you cultivate your practice. Right? They don't know it, but they're actually making your practice stronger. Okay. Inhale, rock forward, bend the left leg. Exhale, step it back to downward facing dog pose. Now again, if you need to rest, you can drop the knees down for a second, take a couple breaths, and then come back up when you're ready. Again, just because you did this stuff for years and years, when you stop for durations of time, this is 2 weeks. I did recently stop with my weight training for about, because I had COVID, so I stopped for like 3 weeks or something. I got out of the habit a little bit too. I probably could have done more weight training and physical fitness after 2 weeks, but I was quite sick. When I came back, I was so much weaker. I could just feel it. My sets were down. Everything was down. My yoga practice, my body was tight. And it took me like a full month, actually, to get back to the training. Anyway, inhale, push back, and exhale, walk or jump front edge of the mat. Good. Inhale, look up, and exhale, fold in. Good. Inhale all the way up to standing. I don't know what happened to my screen, but I'm going to see if I can reconnect this somehow. And exhale. Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, so I'll just teach with audio until this comes back. I'm not sure what happened. All right, so we're going to just stand up straight, reach the arms to the sky, and exhale, come down to a seated position. So we're just going to come all the way down to seated, hands on the ground, and come all the way down. Good, like so. Okay, then come to a seated position and lay down on your back. Bear with me now. I did teach many classes with audio only. For years and years, I would just record audio. So I'm used to doing this, but I will get our camera back. I just want to put us in the sequence. We're just going to lay on the back and hug your knees into your chest and rock side to side. Just going to kind of cradle your body side to side. And then when you need to, you're going to come back to this position. Otherwise, we're going to bring our hands behind the head, support the weight of your head, laying on your back and do bicycles. Traditional bicycle sequence. So as you're going to train here, let's see if we get it back. Okay, I'm not sure why this is doing this. Okay, there we go. And okay, yeah, it came back. All right. I don't know what happened there. That's weird. All right, we're back in the saddle. You guys can see. Good. And just keep going with bicycles. And we're going to continue on from here. We're just going to go ahead and come 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hands, hug your knees into your chest, rock side to side. Again, just kind of cradling the body, rocking side to side like your body is a cradle. Rocking side to side. Good. And let's go ahead and come down. Feet on the ground. Let's do a bridge pose in between. So lining up your feet hip distance apart. Your knees to your ankles supposed to be vertical. I don't know if it's not showing because my pants are quite baggy, but it should look something like this. I'm just going to touch my ankles with my hands and push the floor down and away, squeezing the gluteal muscles. Now let's do a Kegel. So a Kegel is where you're squeezing the perineum, sexual organ muscles tight, the base of your spine. And you're just Kegel crunching them like so. Okay, you just kind of squeeze and relax. Squeeze, relax. Squeeze, relax. If it helps, you can try pushing your hips up a little higher. Squeeze, relax. Okay, so all the muscles in your body are important. They're all do something, right? They're not there for no reason. Squeeze, let's do 3 more. Squeeze, 2 more, squeeze, 1 more, squeeze. Good, and lower down. Hug your knees into your chest, rock side to side. Again, cradle the body. Taking a moment here. And then hands under the hips, palms facing down. Raise your legs straight up towards the sky. And then you're just going to alternate leg lift. Flexing through. So again, in this one, you want to make sure that you don't feel your lower back pinching. Okay, so however low you want to go is fine. You can go all the way to half a foot off the ground as long as it's not pinching the lower back. That's why your hands are under your hips. When your hands are under your hips, it helps support your hip structure, which which prevents your spine from compressing down there. That's what we want to see. Okay, you get the range of motion, your psoas is working, but you also have no lower back pain. Right? That's the goal. You know, the idea of no pain, no gain means when you're exercising and the muscles are hurting a little bit, yes, that is perfectly fine. But when you're working out and it's pinching in the nerves, that's not okay because that will often lead to other pain later on. Right? It's not, and there's no reason to do that. Good. And last 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Hug your knees into your chest, rock side to side. So I want you guys, we're going to do another set of this because I want you to watch your feet. And so tomorrow on this one, watch your left foot. You know, so we all know, like for me, I have a left foot issue as well. My left foot has been injured quite a bit, so I have to really watch its alignment. So when you're moving your legs up, so let's do another set of this where we're walking, but watch your feet alignment. So just every now and then, just kind of peek at your legs and try to get them moving somewhat like they're on skis and you're cross-country skiing. Okay, it may feel a little awkward because that's the pathway of the joint is the joint sets in your legs are starting to wear in a pattern. We want them as centered as possible, but they're wearing to one side. And so when we do things like yoga and hiking or whatever, we want to be aware of our alignment. So watch your left leg. Start to correct it as if it's in like almost like it's in a brace, right? It's not much different when a doctor prescribes somebody who's got a real bad bone misalignment and they put them in a brace. They often do this with kids that have bone conditions in their feet and their ankles and knees. And they put them in a brace. What happens is over years and years of focused corrective alignment through the brace, forcing the leg in a specific condition, a specific position, it prevents the improper wear and tear on the joint. Okay, and then often creates positive alignment, and they can even sometimes remove the braces altogether, right? Especially in the formative years, but the same is true of alignment even as we progress. Okay, and 5, much better. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, and release down. Now let's do baby pose. So baby is basically like cradle, but your knees are bent to the side of your torso, and you're going to pull down. And you're just going to rock a little bit side to side. This massages the kidney area. A little bit of movement for the kidneys and so on is good. Just a little side to side. Also stretches your inner thighs. Obviously, we'll get those inner thighs to a little more flexibility as you pull down towards the ground. So baby pose. Good. And then from here, Let's go back up to a seated position now. So we're going to go to the side, press up to seated. Let me just check on the time so I don't go too far over time. And yeah, let's go ahead and come from here. Right leg in front, left leg back. So I'm going into a classic position called pigeon. One of my favorite poses is pigeon. I love the symbolism, which I'll talk about a little bit again. And I'm going to point the foot straight back. I'm going to slowly drop the elbows down, turn the palms facing upward and breathe. What to watch for is pain in the knee. If there is, lean more towards your femur side. So you can lean to your right femur on the ground if that's happening. Again, pain in the muscles, generally okay, in the gluteal muscle on the side of the leg, but not in the joint, not in the knee in this case. And breathe. So the symbolism for me in pigeon, pigeons are some of the most free birds in the world. They live, so from where I've been, they are everywhere. And even when they're in captivity, they're free, right? So there's a lesson in that. We've all heard the term, the gilded cage, the parrot that lives in a cage and so on. And partially because the parrot has these bright, beautiful green and different color feathers, it's often living in captivity. Right? It's pretty rare you see a parrot flying around like you do, at least to the degree that we see pigeons. Pigeons don't have that. Pigeons have gray, kind of red, rather plain. It's a rather plain-looking bird, and so, as they say in the Tao Te Ching, which I love, the philosophy of some of the philosophy comes from the Tao Te Ching. The sage wears rough clothing and keeps the jewel hidden inside. Now, obviously, there's tons of meaning there. Tons of meaning, right? It could mean something as simple as that, meaning, don't be too flashy, because it may not be wise in living in the city in which we live, right? But it could also mean to not overspend and live more humbly, but yet enjoy some of the internal freedoms of the sage, right? How we decipher this is ultimately up to us, what meaning it has. But the pigeon, aside from stretching the hip, it's also a symbol of freedom, right? A bird in general, any bird really, is a symbol of freedom. And when we work on ourselves in yoga, we're also reminded of the freedom to change and grow. And I like to say this a lot in class, because our abilities to change as human beings, our abilities to evolve, that is one of our natural strengths, right? Our adaptability to adapt and to evolve. So how does that relate to your life? Take a moment to reflect on that. We're already in the pose, the physical benefits there. And slowly coming up, walk your hands up, take your time. We're going to just go ahead and tuck the toes under. And we're going to slowly engage the torso, push the pelvis forward a little bit, and push back to downward dog pose. Now, with our right leg forward, so we're just going to bring the left leg forward, same pose, to the other side. Again, I'm going to flex my foot back, drop the elbows down, turn the palms facing upward, and breathe. Relaxing the jaw, soften your brow, soften your tongue. Focusing on the breath, starting to breathe long, slow, deep breaths. As you exhale, see if you can relax a little bit deeper into the pose. Just desire to keep moving, if any. See if you can be still just for a little while. Slowly coming up, walk your hands up, take your time. And lean to your left side and bring your right leg out in front. Lay down on your back. In Shavasana. You're going to turn the palms upward. And slow the breath down. Now if you're just beginning to meditate again, all we're doing here is doing a practice, focusing on the rhythm of the breath. And the idea isn't necessarily to turn the mind off completely. It's simply to observe the mind. This is mindfulness meditation. As a thought runs through your mind, which chances are it will, label the thought and bring your attention back to the fluid rhythm of your breath. As long as you're not fighting the mind, you're just aware. There's a thought about perhaps the next thing you're going to do today. Label it thought. Observe it. Maybe there's an emotion attached to it. Label the emotion a thought, right? Because it is still, yes, it's a feeling, but you can still give it a name and then bring your attention back to your breathing. Right? For me, the intention of our practice is to observe the mind, to relax a little bit, but not also being too attached to deep relaxation either. Just like sleeping, nothing makes sleeping harder than trying to force yourself to fall asleep. Nothing makes meditation harder than trying to force yourself into a relaxed state. It's one of those rare cases, the harder you grasp at it, the harder you try, sometimes the harder it becomes. So in this context, we're observing without attachment. We're just breathing. The mind wanders some days more than others. So a simple thought pattern could be, my mind is wandering more than normal. Label that as thought. And then long, deep breathing. And this one, we'll breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. You can scan down if you'd like. Starting to consciously relax all the different body sections, from the eyes to the jaw and cheek, to the ears. With each exhale, relaxing the throat, the heart center and chest, the arms, the belly and hips, the thighs and calves, and all the way down to your feet. And slowly coming back, taking a deep, full breath and gently roll your thumbs across the tips of all your fingers. And roll to your side in fetal position. Pressing up to an easy seated posture. Coming back once again as that completes our practice of yoga and meditation today. It's been a pleasure and an honor. Namaste.
Thanks, Stephen.
You're welcome.